What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a good weekend overall, got some stuff done, got a chance to play some games. We had a pretty good weekend here, did the Spawncast, of course, with a bunch of guests, which was a lot of fun. Played a bunch of games, including a couple Kickstarters, and went over the world of esports. Today we have a bunch of stuff to talk about, including Monster Hunter World devs talking about the Nintendo Switch, kind of answering the question as to why the game wasn't on the Switch in the first place. Something we'll go over. I think I kind of already touched on this a while back anyway, as to probably why it wasn't around, but still, it's worth looking at. And then we also found out that, hey, the Metal Gear Survive team, at least the producer, kind of apologized and let us know a little more about these loot boxes and the possible pay-to-win mechanics. So let's get started. Now, we've talked about Monster Hunter World and really the Switch a lot, right? People have really asked, where is this version? Why is it not on the Switch? Monster Hunter has been on Nintendo products for a while now, making the jump from Sony products over to the 3DS, the Wii U, the Wii, and everything. It really went Nintendo later on in the 2000s, but the question is really, where is Monster Hunter World and why isn't it on the Switch? Well, IGN managed to track down the developers, specifically the head developers of Monster Hunter World, and asked them, why isn't this on the Nintendo Switch? A system that's very popular right now, is clearly selling and going from what was originally a Nintendo-based game, something people really knew it as after the PSP versions, to now going to everything. And this is what they had to say. We don't have any plans for the Switch at the moment. Part of the reason is that the title has been in development for almost 4 years. At the time, we had to commit to our hardware choices. We decided on using the most powerful current generation consoles available at the time, which was the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So the decision was made before the Switch was even announced or on sale. It's also because for every title, we decide what the best fit for hardware is for the concept. We don't just look at everything. It's more like, if we want to achieve this kind of game concept, where's the best place to achieve that? And for this title, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were the best fit for us. So this is what I've been talking about for a lot of these third-party games that people are asking, why is there no Switch version? Listen, the development for these mostly started, years ago, before the Switch was even presented to anyone. Nintendo was probably still tinkering around with it between them and Nvidia behind closed doors where nobody could see what was going on. That's when they were working on it, and that's when a lot of these games were really being developed. Even if you go to something like, think of like Okami HD. Remember how that got announced and everyone was confused as to why it wasn't going to the Switch? Remember Mega Man Legacy Collection took forever to get to the Switch, and they even said, well, we started developing on it before the Switch was around. That's what you're seeing with a lot of these games. Monster Hunter World is a great example. Think back to 2014. What would they have to choose from? Well, they would have to choose from the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Wii U. Are they putting it on the Wii U when they go to the Xbox One and the PS4, two systems that are clearly more powerful than the Wii U, much more current, and really could make the scope of their game much larger? No, they're not going to go to the Wii U, and even at that time, it was still iffy for a lot of third-party developers based on how third-party games were selling. Granted, Monster Hunter is a little different. It sold pretty well on Nintendo stuff, right? 3DS versions, including, sold pretty well. But still, they had to make a decision, and they decided, you know what? We're not going to put it on the Wii U. That was the decision. It wasn't back in 2014. You know what? We're not going to put it on the Switch right now. No, they didn't know about it. The Switch came around about a year ago, right? So that's when they would have found out about it, maybe a little more than a year ago, and that's when they could have thought about it. But by then, development was probably coming to a close, and they were mostly testing everything. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. And think about this for a lot of third-party games that have come out recently. It's just they didn't know about the Switch. That's the way it is, and it makes a lot of sense here to me. And they couldn't put it on the Wii U because they wanted to do Xbox One and the PS4. Now, what I'm really confused about is, why hasn't Monster Hunter Double Cross been localized? That's what IGN should have been asking them, saying, where's Monster Hunter Double Cross? Why isn't that brought over yet? It'll sell on the Switch. I think that's pretty clear, right? I think everybody wants it to come back over, get localized to English, and work on the Switch. You could technically buy it, but it's all in Japanese, and why would anyone want to play that if you can get an English version? So really what they need to figure out, Capcom specifically, is get this thing localized, bring it over. That way there's at least a Monster Hunter game for Switch owners to buy, rather than watch people all around the world buy Monster Hunter World and feel a little left out. Granted, I always tell you, get every system you can, but I understand there are some people who just have a Switch, and they can't play it. So that's my advice to Capcom. Get Double Cross localized, get it released worldwide, and then you'll have a Monster Hunter game on the Switch, the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC, and everybody's kind of happy at least. Next up, let's talk about Metal Gear Survive. It's been kind of I guess it's been the brunt of a lot of jokes recently. I haven't made a joke about it because it's not Metal Gear. I don't even know what that name is doing on that title. You could say it's a spin-off all you want, but it still has the Metal Gear name on it. Sure, it's using the same engine, same kind of controls, but it just feels like some other game. And the producer of the series decided to come out and apologize to fans, that everyone pretty much that likes the Metal Gear series is ripping this game apart for the most part, because it's not what they want. It's not Metal Gear. So they decided to come out, apologize, and then there was all that speculation kind of swarming about loot boxes, pay-to-win mechanics, because when you get to at the end of certain levels and everything, boxes drop and you get loot out of it, and you get like or pills that bring you back to life and everything, revive pills. So people were concerned, okay, this game is clearly going to be a microtransaction-ridden game that is all about pay-to-win mechanics. It's always online. There's a lot of things pointing in that direction. So the producer decided to sit down with PlayStation UK Magazine and kind of set the record straight, saying, fans and gamers in general seem to take Metal Gear Survive to be a continuation of the Metal Gear series. So I regret that we caused that confusion. There will not be loot boxes, and there will not be pay-to-win types of microtransactions. There will be things like the accessories in Metal Gear Online and forward operating base in Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. And that's the producer, Yuji Korikato. And here's the thing, they're trying to figure out why there's confusion about this being a continuation of the Metal Gear series. It's probably because you use Metal Gear in the title. Like, call it something else and it's not a big deal. I get it, they want to use that title because just the title alone will probably sell it to some people. But there are going to be a lot of disappointed people out there who buy this and go, wait, this isn't Metal Gear Solid or just Metal Gear in general. I mean, I know a lot of people say it's not Metal Gear Solid, and that's true, it's not. But there are a lot of people out there who maybe bought the 5th one or maybe bought the 4th one, and they're like, oh, I'll check out how the series is doing. They're going to buy into it thinking about Metal Gear or just Metal Gear Solid. This is what they're going to get. So I understand why they're confused. The confusion makes sense. I don't really know why they can't seem to figure out why people are confused. It's very weird. But as for the pay-to-win mechanics, that is a real concern right now. People playing the beta, everyone pointed this out. It's always online, and there seem to be things that you could buy to make your characters better. Now, they talk about accessories. They talk about how, all right, Metal Gear Solid 5 did have microtransactions you could buy things with. Same with the online game, but it wasn't super intrusive. It didn't really bother anyone. But if they really try to push it here, the game's $40, so they're not trying to get $60 up front anyway, which I think made people raise their eyebrows and say maybe they're going to try to push microtransactions more. Well, here you go. They're on record saying, oh no, it's not going to be pay to win. So if this game comes out and it feels pay to win, they might have, well, not really a Battlefront 2 on their hands because it's not big enough for that. People have already written it off. But they could have a situation similar on a smaller scale as to people feeling like they're getting taken advantage of with people who are just putting money into the game to win. And then this game I could see dying off much faster than something like Battlefront 2 because doesn't have Star Wars attached to it. All right, next up, let's talk about something that was really cool that's kind of been happening for the past few months on the internet, and it was finally released as a prototype for people to play. And if you remember back, do you remember Silent Hills or the PT demo? Remember when that was underway and it looked really cool? They had the whole demo you could download on the PS4 that's now gone. PS4s were being sold for crazy amounts at the time with the demo on it because people wanted to play it so badly. Great demo. You kept going down the hallway, it kept resetting, it was super creepy and super dark, and it was awesome. Norman Reedus was there at the end when you beat it. So what do fans do? They can't get the demo on the PlayStation Store. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to remake it. And they did just that in Unreal Engine 4. Now, this really came to light back in November, and what happened was Smoggy Chips, a creator of this version of PT in Unreal Engine 4, has been developing it, and they finally released a prototype that we can actually download and we can play through. There's a whole video of them playing through it, and this is really cool because this gives us, I guess, an image or at least a remembrance of what this was. They're not going to probably go any further than that because we have no idea what this vision was going to be. It looked really cool, but we have no idea. They exited the house, and that seemed to be like where the story was going to start in some way. So unfortunately, we're kind of still stuck to this one hallway, but it's cool that we can at least play it again because it's not accessible anymore on the PlayStation Store, which is a shame because it was a lot of fun to kind of play through. Great for jump scares. Oh man, that was the best thing. People were watching videos on reaction stuff constantly because some of those jump scares were legitimate jump scares. Some of the stuff in there was just super creepy. It was great. So, hey, I'll leave a link to this, guys, if you want to go down and check it out. I'll leave a link to the video. of them showing it off, and there should be a link there for you to download the prototype. If you want to try it out, just make sure you have a halfway decent computer for it, because it is using Unreal Engine 4, so you want at least a mid-range computer to get the best effect. Next up, let's talk about Ys 8. We just talked about Ys 8 getting an announcement for the end of this month for the PC. Do you remember that? We were talking about they were going to fix the localization errors that they weren't very happy with, bad grammar, misspellings, just the localization and the translation wasn't very good. They were going to fix that and then release a PC version alongside of that, so you're going to get fixes for the PS4 and the Vita version, and then they were going to release a PC version for everybody on Steam and just in general on PC that really like Ys. That's a great market for Ys, by the way. It's people on PC and Steam love this series. Well, unfortunately, something's come up. I have no idea what's going on here, but they are delaying it, and they're not giving us any kind of date. It's just delayed from, we can tell, indefinitely until they're ready to release it. And this was in a press release. They do talk about a few reasons why, saying low frame rate issues and memory leak problems were apparent from the earliest PC builds we received. To help combat these, we looked into the drawing processes, which lead to an overall improvement in performance. However, we are still encountering frame rate drops in specific circumstances. The systems regulating these frame rate issues are heavily reliant on the architecture of the original PlayStation 4 version, and as such are not existent in PC architecture. The memory leak issues are somewhat less complicated and expected to be resolved this weekend, but in order to solve these issues, we have determined that we must modify the core level of data in the game. So they have to actually do some serious groundwork to this version of the game to make it work on the PC without what they're saying, frame drops, memory leaks. Basically, they don't want to release a broken game. I understand that, but man, this delay comes, what, like a week after them telling us it's going to be out later on this month? That's very weird. What they really should have done, I guess, is double checked their builds and then at least tell us that a localization patch is coming out for the other versions. That's still on track, by the way. If you have a PS4 or the Vita version, those localization patches will still come through at the end of this month, so you can still get all of your grammar and translation fixes and patch it and play it again or play it for the first time, but you're not going to be playing it on the PC for a little while. I still think it'll be out this year. I just don't know when. Maybe at the end of summer, maybe fall, but it's very odd that at this stage they're willing to announce a date, but it was this broken. Seems a little weird to me. I don't really know what that's about, but I guess at least they didn't try to rush a broken game out, because that would have really hurt their reputation going forward with a community that for the most part supports them with a lot of the games that they released with the Ys series on Steam. Then our last bit of news, I'm going to turn you guys on to a really cool looking Kickstarter to keep an eye on, because, well, I took a look at it and it gives me serious Zelda 2 vibes from the NES. This game you're seeing right here is called Feyland, and what it's described as is a pixel art, open world, 2D Metroidvania that has a lot of inspiration from the older side-scrolling Zelda games like Zelda 2. And this is really exciting because I think it looks great. The animation looks really cool. I like the art style. It's not overdone, but it's not too simplified. Now, you can kind of see how the gameplay was there with that trailer, where it's like this, again, this 2D style game where it's action, RPG. Looks like you level up, you gain new abilities, gain new weapons. Metroidvania style means it's open world and you have a grid map that you kind of follow. And if it's kind of like the Zelda 2 series, I guess you would have an open map that you can kind of move around on, and maybe you go into little spots, or maybe it's just all 2D. But this looks really cool. The Kickstarter has no, from what I can see, announcement for when it's actually going to release, but they have their website set up and everything, and it seems like they're just getting all of their stuff set up beforehand, that's a good thing, trust me. If Kickstarters pop up out of nowhere and they promise you the world, that's a problem. This looks like they're actually following protocol correctly from what I can tell. I'm going to reach out to them and talk to them a little bit about it, and I kind of want to see what systems they're targeting, because they haven't really said anything other than PC, and then it seems like they're kind of looking at consoles also. So depending on where they go with it, I would like to see them put it on everything, obviously, but it's hard to, I guess, not pay attention to the Switch's success with indie games, which has been massive right now, and it's a Zelda-looking game with its Zelda 2 inspired looks, and that art style would probably fit really well with the Switch. But I think it would sell well on things like the PS4 and the Xbox One, and definitely Steam, but I think they should go to the Switch with this type of game, because as we saw with Blossom Tales, it would just sell like crazy. I don't see why not. But I'll keep an eye on this. It's Phelan. Go check out their website. I'll leave a link down in the description for it if you want to go check it out further and just watch the video a little more, because it looks like it's going to be a really cool game. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about any of the stuff we talked about today, whether it is Monster Hunter World on the Switch. Are you surprised that they started development on this 4 years ago? I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't want to put it on the Wii U. And then, would you rather them eventually move something like Monster Hunter World to the Switch, or would you rather them localize Double Cross and put it on the Switch, or just give it its own original game? I don't think Capcom's gonna ignore the Switch when it comes to Monster Hunter, because they know there is an audience there, a crowd there that would buy into that game and that series. So they're not gonna ignore them. But if they started working on something as soon as they got a Switch dev kit and it followed the same timeline as Monster Hunter World, we wouldn't see something till like 2019, 2020. So it makes sense why it's not on the Switch. But hey, we'll see what happens. They're foolish not to do anything with Double Cross. I do think they'll localize that eventually because it makes sense, but I don't know. Who knows Capcom, you know? And also let me know what you think about Metal Gear Survive. Do you think it's pretty obvious why people see it as more of a sequel than a spin-off, something that's more canon than not canon? And are you expecting it to be pay to win? Did you try the beta? Let me know, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.